staff and students.
Do not worry, we still got one more day of sunny skies and warm January temps. Latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Maps across the state. We'll let you know what their plan is and if anything will change.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome to the KOAM News at Noon. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. We're going to start tossing over to Michael. Let's take a look at that forecast.
Let's do that, Bronte, because we know we've got big changes now. The Skywatch Weather Center will concentrate on everything up to the north. I want everybody in the 4 states, including you, Ms. Sorotsky, and you, Mr. Vickery, to enjoy just a marvelous Thursday where our January temperatures are going to reach up close to 60 degrees. Isn't that something else? Only thing that we've had even crossing through the sky, just some contrails from overhead planes. Nary a cloud to worry about. And how about running a string of 60s throughout southeast Kansas already? Parsons now jaunting up to 61. We're going mid to high 50s throughout southwest Missouri. Joplin sitting at 57. Miami right now, along with Fort Scott and Nevada. That triumvirate has had identical temperatures all morning long, despite the fact that it's the far north and far south of our highlighted counties, as they now stand at 55. Even the colder weather, as we talk about what's going to develop up to the north, is really yet to make any southerly push. We're still talking about the 50s right there throughout central Nebraska, all the way down to a very comfortable 60 degrees down to the south. So like I said, while it formulates, we've got a ways to go. Clean Skywatch storm tracker. Even the morning rain that we saw jump right through St. Louis to the east of the Mississippi, now a thing of the past for the Show Me State, as the Midwest remains very, very clear. So let's talk about what we've got developing up here. A little Pacific moisture. That's beginning to formulate. So our temperatures topping out around 60 today. This will be the warmest day of our week, and actually the warmest day that we're going to see in some time, because overnight we begin with the clouds that build for Friday. Friday's temps, though, not too bad. We'll still be up around 50, but now as we get into Friday evening, here we go, this thing dropping down on us. We'll begin as rain, and then early Saturday morning, especially when we get past sunrise, look at that, widespread snow is on its way. Coming up here in just a little bit, Bronte, we'll not only talk about our accumulation numbers, but actually how far south this thing's going to press. It's rather impressive in scope, and we'll do that when I see you here in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Michael. As several schools deal with teacher shortages because of COVID, the Kansas State Board of Education approved a new rule making it easier to hire substitutes. The board passed a declaration allowing qualified candidates to apply for a temporary emergency authorized license, or TEAL. It'll allow anyone over the age of 18 with a high school diploma and a commitment from a school district to apply through the Kansas Department of Education. The Kansas gubernatorial election is heating up, with campaign fundraising and spending hitting unusually high levels. Governor Kelly raised more cash last year and spent more than her presumed Republican opponent, Attorney General Derek Schmidt. Campaign finance reports filed this week show Kelly reported raising more than $2 million last year. Schmidt reported raising $1.6 million after launching his campaign back in March. But Kelly also spent $762,000, while Schmidt spent only $331,000. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly last night laid out her priorities for this legislative session in the State of the State address. At the top of that list is eliminating the state's sales tax on food. She wants that accomplished by Kansas Day, January 29th. Governor Kelly is also calling for another freeze in tuition at Kansas colleges. She says, and she wants to set aside $600 million of the state's surplus revenues in a rainy day fund. A Missouri House panel advanced a plan for redrawing the state's congressional district that keep the current political balance in place. The map endorsed by a House panel is projected to result in 6 Republican members in the U.S. House and 2 Democrats, the same as what currently exists. Some Republicans in the state's largest anti-abortion group had urged lawmakers to adopt a map that could make it easier for Republicans to win 7 seats. But no attempt was made to do that on Wednesday. The redistricting plan is expected to be debated by the full House next week. Republican lawmakers are pushing to ban critical race theory in K-12 Missouri schools and give parents and guardians more control over what their children learn. Lawmakers pitched the bills during a state House committee hearing. Republican Representative Nick Schroer's legislation would prohibit teachers from using critical race theory, a framework for examining the effects race and racism have on the nation's institutions. Representative Doug Ritchie's bill would allow parents and guardians to censor class materials provided to their children based on such parents' beliefs regarding morality, sexuality, religion, or other issues related to the well-being, education, and upbringing of such parent's child. Multiple school districts across the four-state announced they will go virtual through the rest of the week due to illness in students and staff. Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, Webb City, Galena, Frontenac, and Arma are some of the latest area school districts to announce they are canceling classes or going virtual. On Tuesday, the Carthage School District announced they would transition to virtual learning through Friday.
We had 104 staff members absent yesterday morning, and it grew as the day continued. Obviously, we had a lot of kids gone also, and it had to happen. We needed to cancel school.
The superintendent says he hopes with school being closed Monday as well, they can use the 5 days away to slow the current spread of COVID-19. You can find more on how area schools are proceeding on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, and we'll have more on this story in our next half hour. Topping Nation Watch, President Biden is calling in the military to help with the surge of new COVID cases brought on by the Omicron variant. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
President Biden got an update from the field from federal teams sent to communities hardest hit by COVID from Arizona to New York.
When you need something done, call in the military.
The administration today is announcing new deployments of additional military personnel to overwhelmed hospitals in New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Rhode Island, Michigan, and New Mexico.
Military doctors, nurses, and medics helping staff the hospitals are in short supply. This is on top of more than 14,000 National Guard members that are activated in 49 states.
The president also said the White House will be announcing a new plan next week to distribute high-quality masks to Americans for free. The White House previously announced plans to ship 500 million free rapid tests to Americans. Today, the president said he wants to purchase another 500 million tests to meet future demand.
We're on track to roll out a website next week where you can order free tests shipped to your home.
Some states, especially in the Northeast, are reporting they're starting to see a decline in new cases, meaning they may have hit the peak of the latest Omicron spike.
It takes 3 weeks to go up and it starts coming down as fast as it went up.
But contributing to the current spread, Dr. Ali Makdad estimates about 80 to 90% of all infections in the U.S. are asymptomatic. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Beginning Saturday, insurance companies will be required to reimburse you for the purchase of an at-home COVID test. You need to pay for the test up front and then file a claim with your insurer. Each person is allotted 8 tests per month. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon.
Warnings about fires caused by space heaters. I'm Michael George, and we'll show you what you need to know to use them safely.
And later, we're making the ultimate grilled cheese sandwich in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. In the cold winter months, many families plug in space heaters to get warm, but the devices lead to thousands of fires every year. Michael George has some tips to keep your family safe.
An apartment building fire in New York this week took the lives of 17 people, and investigators say the flames were started by a space heater. New York firefighters did a demonstration to show just how dangerous the appliance can be. A blanket placed on top of a heater ignited in less than 30 seconds. In less than 2 minutes, the entire room is filled with smoke and flames.
When that space heater is on, that is at least 3 to 5 feet away from anything that would burn.
Safety officials say it's also important to plug the heaters directly into the wall, not into an extension cord or power strip.
All too often, if the space heater itself doesn't go on fire, the power strip or wiring will cause a fire.
When buying a heater, experts advise getting one that will automatically shut off if it tips over, and make sure it's certified by a lab. This UL code signifies a product has been tested and certified.
Make sure that there's some basic safety protections on them, like a grid on the outside of it to protect child or pet from getting too close.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission says it's also important to check cpsc.gov for any recalls. Over the years, several heaters have been recalled for overheating. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Experts also say space heaters should be kept out of reach of children and pets. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
If you love grilled cheese, then you're gonna love what we're making today. It's so good, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes your new favorite.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Well, I certainly don't want to belabor the point as far as what's headed for us winter weather-wise. I don't want anybody to be alarmed on this Thursday either, because the rest of our afternoon, evening, and even the beginning of Friday is going to be absolutely delightful. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we've been talking about paying attention as far as what's going to develop up in Canada, really right along the border right there, and that's what we're seeing, a little development of some snow that's beginning to emerge, and as it works its way off the Pacific Northwest, it's going to gather up there. Throw the jet stream arrows on, give you an idea about this low pressure that they have right here at the ocean, grabs that, sweeps it up here, and consider this almost the staging area, if you will, for this storm. It's going to move very, very slowly about over the Dakotas, and then once it gathers up there, then it will make its descent from north down to south, head toward us for Friday. But with that being said, look at this. You cannot beat this for a January Thursday. 57 degrees is where we stand right now. Remember, we should only be around 44. It's just been absolutely delightful. And we're able to pull off temperatures that are right now as high as 61 in Parsons, 56s in Lamar and Carthage, 55. Whether it be Miami or up in Fort Scott and Nevada, we're able to pull this all off with shifting winds. Watch these arrows right here, working from the southeast earlier this morning, but now, even as it drops in from the north, we've got abnormally warm temperatures. Are starting to see double-digit sustained winds out to the west right there, Nevada clocking in at 10. So as we progress, say about 3, 4 o'clock, that's where we see some wind gusts of about 20 miles per hour. But back up to the north right here, as it still begins to gather, and what it's going to do is simply follow the jet stream. You just follow the arrows all the way down. And when we say follow the arrows, to the point where after it sweeps through us, it's even going to make it as far as the deep south. They're going to throw up some warnings here, some winter storm warnings down in the Georgia area by the time the weekend hits. Now for us, watches and warnings still for the great northern plains right there. It kind of cuts off. We see a little bit of a winter storm warning that makes it into north central Missouri, but nothing for us. Do want to point out though that this white and the green that you see right here, they not only had some morning rain, but this is in anticipation of what's going to drop down with number one, the wind chill warnings and the winter storm warnings that they have right now for the north. Luckily, our ground very, very warm. That's really going to help us out. That's that rain I was talking about that spawned some of those flood warnings, and then they're just going to sit back and wait for additional precip for Saturday. But with our ground being as warm as it has been for the last couple of days, this is really going to be beneficial for us as this storm presents itself. Up around 60 this afternoon. We talked a little bit about that wind picking up, so let's talk about the storm that's a-coming. Like I said, as we get into tomorrow morning, we're looking absolutely great. Gonna have some gathering cloud cover, but temperatures still able to make it up, high 40s, low 50s. Then as we get closer to sunset on Friday, it'll start as rain and eventually flip over. Luckily, this line right here of the freezing rain, indicated in the pink, it's going to move pretty fast. So it's not one of those that's going to linger for too long. But then you can tell the drop in the temperatures on the backside as we get closer to sunrise on Saturday. We become more widespread snow. And our accumulation numbers, yeah, we're going to see some pockets here that'll build up about 2 inches. As you work out to the west, that's where it kind of tapers off. This is going to be your dividing line of the storm. And then as you get into the middle, so obviously the northern section, even up in KC, they could get anywhere from 4 to 5 inches up in Kansas City. Kind of loses a little bit of its steam. Good snow, though, as it drops off into south central Missouri. Give you an idea from the national perspective, since we were talking about how deep this thing down to the south is able to push. Yeah, it doesn't disappoint. They get down there, they get that freezing rain through, eastern Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina. They will not know what to do with themselves. So that's why, Bronte, just even from a national perspective, even though we're in the midst of it nationally, like this thing is already being talked about.
All right, well, definitely get ready for it this weekend.
But like I said, let me play glass half empty. I want you and everybody watching to go enjoy a glass half full Thursday.
All right, definitely, thank you. We take this time now to honor today's four-state hero, Gerald Hoyt in the U.S. Army. The Lamar, Missouri native worked in the 96th Division Infantry Fort Tank Group. He was stationed in the Philippines and Okinawa from 1943 to 1945. During his time, Hoyt saved the life of another soldier and earned a Purple Heart Bronze Star. To Gerald Hoyt, we thank you, our four-state hero.
We can't help what you do.
If you're looking for a meal that's easy to make and sure to please, Howard's got you covered. Today he shows us one that can be paired with soup or can be enjoyed on its own in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When it comes to grilled cheese, are you a traditionalist? Or do you like getting a bit more creative by mixing and matching your cheeses and kicking it up a notch with, well, let's just say anything? No matter what your answer, I think we can all agree there is nothing more comforting than the ooey gooey toasted goodness of a grilled cheese. So let me share with you my favorite way to make them, and I think it's gonna knock your socks off. We start by beating together some cream cheese and mayonnaise until it's light and fluffy. To that, we add loads of cheddar and mozzarella cheese, along with a bit of garlic powder. After everything is combined, we spread it onto slices of sourdough bread, or you can use whatever your favorite is. Now we place another slice of bread on top and butter both sides. I told you this wasn't your everyday grilled cheese. Onto the griddle it goes to get toasted until it's golden and our cheesy filling is all melty. And whether you eat this as is or cut it up and serve them as a topper or a dipper with a bowl of soup, you can't miss. To get the recipe for what we call our ultimate grilled cheese sandwich, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an ooey gooey way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at some four-state market prices. Certainly going to want to tune in with us for the rest of the night and tomorrow morning, because we will be tracking the winter storm now developing upon the Canadian border and then dropping down south toward us, be here Friday night into Saturday. Do expect some minor travel impacts if you have weekend plans and you're going to be out and about, or do a smart thing. Just turn on KOM and Fox 14 and watch a lot of NFL playoff action. There you go.
I'm with you on that for sure.
All right, Dow, what do we have coming up at 5 today?
Well, at 5, scientists in Sweden say they've developed a new eco-friendly bait to kill mosquitoes and help stop the spread of malaria. Researchers are using a combination of plant-based toxins and beetroot juice to create fake blood that attracts mosquitoes. Plus, a new COVID testing site opens in Webb City to deal with the increased need for testing in the area, and a Nevada business owner pleads guilty to filing false tax returns and not reporting $1.4 million in income. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more is coming up on KOAM News at 5.
Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.